and welcome to Let's Talk About Books, baby, where we talk with your favorite LGBTQ authors. I'm Anita Kelly, and my guest today is Cathleen Collins. Hi, Kathleen.
Hi.
How are you?
Just Ducky. How about you?
I am well. I'm good. Thank you, and Happy New Year to you.
Oh, it is New Year's, isn't it?
Yeah,
Well,
it
it
is.
was.
Yeah. So, do you go by Kathleen or Kat, or what's your
Usually
preference?
everybody calls me Cat.
Okay. All right. So we will call you Kat. But your books, right, are published under Kathleen Collins, correct?
Yes, indeed.
All right. And that's Collins with 2 L's, right?
Collins, yes.
All right. Awesome. So it's good to get those logistics out of the way up front. So Kathleen, let's just jump right in and talk about some of your books that are coming out and have been published.
Sounds good.
All right. So how long actually have you been writing professionally?
I mean, I don't really consider that I write professionally. I mean, I write, I guess, as kind of a side job, maybe. Not really a job, a hobby.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. So you have another career then?
I do.
All
I
right.
work in a state facility for the developmentally disabled. I'm an aide.
Okay. Wow. That is a rigorous job, I'm sure.
It certainly is.
All right. So is writing then kind of like an outlet for you?
It always has been. It's been the one thing that keeps me from losing my mind, I think.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. That's a great outlet. It's nice to have those creative outlets also, that are positive, right?
Most definitely.
Yeah, because there are a lot of negative outlets, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When I used to do direct care, I remember a lot of my clients would, just like engage in mindless TV shows like, Law and Order, NCIS. I mean, they're great TV shows, but just on and on, just as a way to just kind of zone out, and what you're doing is very productive. And
it's a lot cheaper than smoking, right?
Oh, don't get me started on that. I cannot believe I don't smoke. I used to smoke like 30 some years ago. The cost of cigarettes today is outrageous.
It really is.
It is. I don't know how people afford to smoke. I just don't. But so Kat, you have I think Ghost Host.
The Ghost Host, yep.
The Ghost Host. That was your first published work, right?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, can you tell us about this storyline and how did you come to publish it?
Well, it's kind of just a funny ghost story, really. It's about a woman in post-pandemic Pennsylvania. She's with her best friend who thinks that she's a psychic, and the best friend accidentally summons a ghost that attaches itself to Renee.
And Renee is the
Renee is the main character.
Okay.
Yep. And a lot of hilarity ensues. The ghost is very tenacious, thinks that they're soulmates.
Okay.
So she has to kind of discover why the ghost chose her, and it brings up things from her past that she never knew, and it's kind of funny and heartwarming at the same time.
Okay. Wow. And so what genre would you put this in?
That's an excellent question. I mean, I guess more paranormal, really.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of a very light romance, if you will.
Okay. So it has a lot of humor in it, is what I'm hearing.
Most definitely, yes.
All right, that's fun. Those are actually hard to come by, right? I think like the books that I read, everything is very serious. I know that Clifford Henderson has written some fun kind of books.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with Clifford?
Mm-mm.
She writes for Bold Strokes.
I'd
She
have to look
yeah.
on my shelf.
Okay. All right. So she's written some kind of similar storylines. That's great. That sounds like great fun. And when did the Ghost Host come out?
It actually came out last January.
Oh wow. So it has been out for a year.
It has.
And how are people receiving it? Are you getting any kind of feedback from readers?
Sure. I've got some really great reviews and some really not as great reviews.
Oh, we won't talk about those.
Yeah, but those are the ones that make you work harder, right?
Oh yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. They do, right? Yeah.
It's the only ones I'll remember too.
I know. Unfortunately, yeah, that's kind of how we're programmed, right?
Oh yeah.
Wow. So you got some good reviews, though, right?
Oh yeah.
People are receiving it well, and yeah, that's awesome. So you have another book, right, coming out. Is it this summer?
It should be,
Okay.
barring any disasters.
Okay. All right. And you just never know these days, right?
Yep, no.
All right. So is that called Wildflower?
It is.
All right. And can you tell us a little bit about it without giving too much away?
Well, it is actually nothing like The Ghost Host. It is not a funny story. It's kind of like a drama, romance. It starts out with a young girl, Lily, who she and her mother are traveling to her grandparents' house in Texas after some traumatic experiences, and the plane goes down in the Ozarks.
Wow.
And Lily has to overcome an awful lot in her journey.
Yeah. Wow. That is like quite different from
It is.
the Ghost Host. Yeah, that's some serious stuff. How did you come up with that idea?
That's a good question. I actually, years and years and years ago, I had written maybe a page of a story that starts with a girl being, lost in the woods.
Okay.
And then I found that page of a story and I thought, well, this sounds fun. Let's do this.
Okay.
So when I started it, it was nothing like what it ended up with. And it was actually a novella. And my editor thought that it would make a much better novel than a novella. Yeah. So I ended up doubling the size of it. And this will be an actual hold in my hands, flip the pages book. So
awesome. Wow. How's that feel?
Like a dream come true.
Oh, I'm sure. That's great. That's fantastic. Good for you. And that is coming out. Do you have a date for that?
It was tentative date is in August.
Okay, so August of 2023. Well, we look forward to that one. Mm-hmm. That's great. So, what for you? What is the significance of that title of Wildflower?
Well, it's kind of from two of my favorite songs, actually. One is called Wildflower by Sheryl Crow, okay. And the other one is called Orchid by Alanis Morissette.
Oh, okay.
And it just kind of talks about how beauty picks its place, basically. You don't always get to choose everything in life, but when you find the right garden or the right mountain, you find your place in life.
Huh, how poetic. That's great. I like that. So, having published a novel, right, has anything changed in your writing process? Like from when you published The Ghost Host to writing Wildflower?
I can't really say that it has. the Ghost Host and Wildflower were about the same length, and I wrote them, you know, one in 1 month and one the next month. But the Ghost Host
wait.
was,
Let me hold on a minute. You wrote each of those novels in 1 month?
well, the Ghost Host is a novella, and Wildflower was a novella. So I wrote, it was like 34,000 words, I think.
That is impressive. Seriously.
I was very motivated.
I'll say.
There's actually a 60,000 word book I wrote before them, and I wrote that in November. So I wrote it November, December, January, and then another one in February.
Oh my goodness.
I was on a roll.
You're like a machine.
I was.
Yeah. Wow, that is impressive, really. So I'm sorry. I cut you off mid-sentence there, but I wanted to make sure I was hearing that correctly. So you were talking about how perhaps your writing process has changed.
Well, as I said, with the Ghost Hosts, they were written so close together that the process really hasn't changed much. I still have no idea what I'm doing and just kind of sit down and let it write itself, really. But with editing Wildflower, I had to work off of what I already had, and that in itself is a brand new process for me, and it was a mountain to climb.
Yeah. Editing is brutal, isn't it?
It really is. It took me, with the Ghost Hosts, maybe 3 days of edits, and it was done.
Nice.
Wildflower, from the time I submitted it and the first read, it has been a year now.
Wow. Well, what was the difference? Like, what made the difference between the time?
Well, I think because the Ghost Host was kind of a full story all on its own. It didn't really need a lot of extras. Okay. Whereas Wildflower was kind of the bones of a good story, but it was missing really a lot of detail. And I didn't see that. When you write something, you already know these details in your head.
Yeah.
And you forget you didn't put them down.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, got it. That makes sense to me. Okay. And so you didn't have to edit that much out of the Ghost Host.
No, it was very little. I mean, it was maybe add a paragraph here or there, clarify some stuff, fix a little bit of weird wording.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice that you didn't have to cut a lot out. So for Wildflower, was there a lot that was cut out of the writing?
No, it's actually the opposite. Like I said, it was about 34,000 words, and I ended up writing another 32,000.
Okay.
But,
nice.
She's going to run through a second reading. I should be getting that back within about 2 weeks, and we'll see how that went.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. And who's your editor?
Barbara Ann Wright.
Okay. Excellent.
She's very thorough.
Yes. And a good author in her own right.
Oh, absolutely.
No pun intended there. So, great. That's awesome. So, what, you have to develop characters, and you said that you kind of just write and go along. So there's not a lot of, I'm hearing that there's not a lot of outlining, or maybe character development beforehand.
Right. I'm terrible. I can't outline for the life of me. If I do an outline, nothing ends the way it's supposed to. And I think I get a little overwhelmed. So if I just sit there and kind of let them have their conversations in my head and just write out what they're saying, it's much smoother.
Okay. That's, yeah. So that's, in the literary world called the pantser, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So is that true of like your plot also? Does that just develop as you go along, or do you have like a a plot developed beforehand?
Well, I would love to say that I have all of this ready to go beforehand, but usually whatever it is that I want to write about is nothing that hits the paper. So I start with an idea and then mess it up terribly, and then it's something else completely.
So, so you might have something in your mind, but then as you go along, right, it might change.
Right.
Okay.
And it
And
doesn't fit the characters, or the characters, like I realize that the idea that I had is just not something that would work for them.
and does that sometimes like lead you to go back and change what you've written already about them? Um,
Not really. It just changes the direction that we head in.
okay.
It's ironic because writing the Ghost Host, I got to certain points in it, and I was looking at it as I'm writing, and I thought, oh, well, that makes sense now. Well, that explains a lot. Like, I had no idea what was going on.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. That just as you go along, it all just unfolds. That's again very impressive. I know a lot of authors like have everything planned out. They have each chapter outlined and just kind of go along with it, and there's not too much variance from what they've set out to do in the beginning. I would think that would be harder, right, than just kind of going with the flow. Um,
Right. I can't, the minute I make an outline of something, I'm just completely blank. It feels like it just sucks the creativity right out of it.
yeah, that's what kind of I was thinking, that it just it like has built a rigid process, right?
Right.
And there's not a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah. And I'm all about the wiggle room.
Yeah, that's great. So is that how you operate in life in general? I'll say fly by the seat of your pants.
Actually, in life in general, I am the complete opposite. I am,
Seriously.
yeah, it's bizarre. Everything has its place. I just can be hard to handle sometimes.
Wow. So you are? Would you say you're like compulsive about things?
Oh, I am very compulsive.
Okay.
The people I work with usually get a good laugh out of it.
How
I can't,
about that?
everything has to be lined up perfectly. I'm just, my whole life is an excellent structured outline. I just can't write like that.
That is amazing. That really is amazing. There is like two distinct parts of you.
Absolutely.
How about that? Um, wow. So, do you have like a beta reader who reads things as you go along?
I have a few. Some of my coworkers have the unfortunate job of keeping me in line, and they read what I write and help me out, give me some tips, or you know, kick me in the butt and make me keep going, build up my confidence. All the things that good friends do.
Oh, that's so nice. That's awesome. Really, that's nice of them to do that.
It
Um,
absolutely is. I don't know what I would have done without them through the last couple of years. They've been fantastic.
oh, that's great. We'll give a shout out to them.
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, and that's you know, that's a scary process, I would think, right? To write something and then share it with people that you're um close to or intimate with, right? And have them give you a critique, um, or you know, even just suggestions.
Oh
That
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It is terrifying. And I'm how old am I? I'm 41 years old. The last couple of years is the first time I've ever let anybody really read anything that I've written,
Wow.
because I just, lack of confidence, all sorts of weird stuff. And I'm very glad that I did.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're very glad that you did also, and that is not weird stuff. That is really normal, right? I I can't imagine any kind of artist, right? You're really throwing yourself out there, you
It
know.
kind of feels like you're serving up your organs to someone on a platter in front of you and hoping they don't toss them in the garbage.
Wow. That
Pardon
is
the imagery.
that is quite an analogy, right? But being in the healthcare field, I guess that's where you go.
Yeah, that's true. Does make you have a sick sense of humor.
Yeah, that's great. So, you're a relatively right newly published author,
Mhm.
um, new to this whole publishing world. And before you were a published author, were there authors that were your like favorites? That you like? Are you a reader?
Oh, I am an avid reader. I read everything. My favorite, some of my favorite authors are, of course, Jerry Hill, Georgia Beers. They hold my heart, but
Aw.
in different genres. I mean, if I had to pick a set of books I wanted to take to a deserted island, it would be the Earth Children series by Jean and All. Um, I love those. I read weird things and crazy things. I love books that everybody else hates. I hate books that everybody else loves. I really have no idea.
Okay. So, the Earth, what is it? The Earth
The
series?
Earth Children series, that's like Clan of the Cave Bear, The
Oh,
Valley of
okay.
Horses.
Yes. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I've never heard that referred to as the Earth Children series.
They're fantastic. I love them.
Yeah, they are. Gosh, those are those were written in like the 80s, right?
Yeah, well, I think there's 6 of them in the series now, and it was in the 2000s, I believe, when she wrote the last 2.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't think I've read the last two. I didn't even know that she had come out with some newer ones.
yeah. I mean, it still leaves some stuff unsettled,
Hmm,
but they're definitely my favorite. I mean,
that's wild.
I they're so well written.
Yeah, yeah, they really are. I remember when I read those; they were great. I loved them. I couldn't wait for the next ones to come out. So I read
Yeah,
them like a long, long time ago. Um,
I bet you I've probably read each of them 7 or 8 times at least.
wow, that's amazing. That's great. And Georgia Beers, she's been on the show quite a few times.
Hmm.
We'll give a shout out to Georgia. And what do you like about Georgia's writing?
She just her characters are so lovable.
Yeah, yeah.
I think everything about her writing is wonderful. one
Oh,
one of my favorite books of all times is called Thy Neighbor's Wife. I love that book. I love it.
the neighbor's wife. I'm just looking on the shelf here to see if I think I have that in ebook. Yeah, that was a good one, right?
It's excellent. It's one of my all-time favorite books. Whenever I want a book that makes me feel wonderful, that's the one I go to.
Oh, that's cool. There was a time I think when I had quit reading like lesbian fiction and then picked it up again, and her I think it was Fresh Tracks
Yep.
was one of the first books that I picked up again, and got me back into reading lesbian fiction. Um, yeah, and you're right. The character she does write like just really they're lovable characters.
They're good people.
Yeah,
I want to
yeah,
read about good people. I want to write about good people. There's
yeah.
enough bad in the world.
You're right, and I tend to think that's a reflection on Georgia Beers. Right? She
Right.
seems like she's good people. So that's awesome. And Jerry Hill. Um, Jerry Hill is one of those authors who writes some very nice romances, and then it's like, wow, how does her mind work?
Oh, I know.
And
Beautiful stories.
yeah, but in some of the other ones, they're kind of dark,
Yeah.
and her characters are dark, and um, yeah, real
Yeah,
different.
but they're still beautiful stories. Even when they're dark, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, she is talented and has a bazillion books published, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I aspire to that level of talent. I just.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great, thing to reach for, really.
Absolutely.
So have you met Jerry Hill or Georgia Beers?
I have not.
Okay.
Although I'd love to.
Okay.
Hint, hint, hint.
And do you have you like gone to any of the conferences, like the Golden Crown conference where authors might be hanging out, or Women's Week in P-Town or down in Rehoboth?
I haven't.
Okay.
I would love to. I don't travel well.
Okay.
I have a small farm to take care of too. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have animals?
Yes. Horses and chickens and turkeys and dogs and cats and rabbits, and that might be about it.
No goats.
Ugh, goats are terrible. I had 3 years. Never again.
Really?
Oh, they're bad.
They're as ornery as they're depicted, huh?
Yes, worse. They're worse. You can't keep them in the fence.
Yeah.
They eat all the things you don't want them to eat.
Oh my God, that's funny. You know, the other day I was driving down, like I live out in the country, and I was driving down one of the roads, and I am always on the lookout for deer, right? They are all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought I'd have to be on the lookout for goats. There were goats standing in the middle of the road, and these other goats were off to the side, like yelling at them to get back in here.
That's funny.
I know. I was really surprised. It was funny. It made me.
I had a weird encounter towards the end of last year, where of all of the things that I could have encountered on the road, this was probably the last thing I expected. It was a giant pig.
No way.
Yeah, and it wouldn't move. I had to get out. I work third shift, so I'm coming home pretty early in the morning. It's like 7:00 in the morning. And here I am in the middle of the road slapping a pig to get it off the road. I thought, well, this is not something I ever thought I'd be doing.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. That's great. That reminds me of a pig story. I'll share with you. One of my nephews is a state police officer here in Pennsylvania, and one of his first assignments, it wasn't such a rural area, but he encountered this huge pig, and someone was complaining about it being on the road. So one of his first jobs as a state cop was to lead this pig home on foot.
I bet that went well.
Oh, he did it. He took selfies along the way too.
That's impressive. I spent 10 minutes trying to get this giant pig off the road.
Oh,
I seriously considered just tossing it in the back of my truck and having some bacon in the morning, but
oh my. So that was nice of you to lead it home. Yeah. So, what is next for you? What are you working on anything right now other than editing?
I'm working on everything.
Oh, okay.
I think I have writing ADHD or something. Like I bet you I have 8 or 9 stories started. The thing that I'm focusing on is almost a sequel to The Ghost Host, but not really. Like, it revolves around the same kind of paranormal, weird, funny, and the main characters in The Ghost Host kind of make an appearance in it, but it's going to introduce 5 new characters that all have their own kind of twisted paranormal experiences or connections, and it starts with a cat.
Okay.
As everything usually does.
and as we talk, I see a little cat walking across your.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
This is my geriatric cat. He'll be 19 soon.
Oh, he's cute. He's adorable. So is what's up, like, it's not really a sequel, but some of the characters reappear in it.
Right.
That was another pun.
Yeah, it's, I guess, related.
Okay.
I don't know. The the main characters from the Ghost Host are in the area where all of this takes place.
Okay. Alrighty. Got it. And is it humorous like the Ghost Host?
It is.
All right.
The one main character, her name is Patricia, and she's the mayor of a small town outside of Harrisburg.
Okay.
And she has some absolutely bizarre things that start happening to her, and she doesn't quite understand what's going on. And as I was writing it, I was cackling the entire time because this poor woman, I mean, she's been through a lot.
Oh,
she's got a lot going on.
That's great. I like that you were laughing at your own characters, or laughing with them.
Well, yeah, they were making jokes, and I was just in stitches, really.
Great. So, for our listeners, Kat does not live too far away. Actually, we could have done this live. And she's a fellow Pennsylvanian, Keystone Stater. So do you use any of your animals from your farm in your stories?
Well, kind of. I mean, I use their personalities. Okay. Everybody always has a pet.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And I have a Great Dane who is probably one of the best dogs I've ever had in my life, and she's kind of features in everything, really.
Oh, that's awesome. How old is she?
She'll be 8 in the spring.
Wow. Is she a big girl?
She is. She's 152 pounds of nothing but elbows.
Wow. Wow, that is.
Because she thinks she's a Chihuahua, so she gets right up on your lap.
Oh, my goodness. Don't they all, right? Yeah, she's like a small pony.
Oh, yes. I actually had miniature horses for a while, and she was bigger than them.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
They did not like her because she could just run right up and lick their face. And that is not a big pony thing. Like, they do not enjoy that at all.
So your miniature ponies, were they house trained?
They were not even touched. They weren't even people trained.
Really?
Yeah, they were. It was kind of a rescue situation. I wanted to bring 2 up at a time from a place that had a whole bunch. And the next thing you know, I've got 11 of them in my barn, and 2 of them are pregnant. So.
Oh, my word.
It was a workout.
What did you do? You still have them, or what did you end up doing?
No, I actually found good homes for all of them. Of course, now my cat is deciding to throw up.
That's what cats do. Animals.
Yeah,
are
what
great.
a morning.
Yeah, animals are great, though. Yep.
I guess
they keep it real. So, Kat, do you like to hear from your readers?
I do. I've had a few people send me Facebook messages or emails, which is cool.
Okay.
Makes me feel like, I don't know, I'm out there in the universe somewhere.
Okay, so what's is Facebook? Is it just Kathleen Collins, or is there Kathleen Collins author? Or
Kathleen Collins author.
Okay.
It's the same thing on Instagram too.
Okay. And how about email? How would they get a hold of you?
That would be Kathleen Collins author @gmail.com.
I love the consistency.
Yeah, well, I hate to forget things, so.
and that goes along with that, compulsion. Got to keep it.
It really does.
Yeah.
Everything has to be neat and orderly.
Yep. Great. So Kathleen Collins author. On Facebook, on Instagram, and email is KathleenCollinsAuthors.gmail or @gmail.com.
@gmail.com. Yep.
Awesome. All right. So hopefully you'll get some good fan mail.
Yeah, and I also have a website, KathleenCollins.com, where I have excerpts of The Ghost Host and Wildflower, and I think I have some from some of the other ones that I've been dabbling with.
Oh, fantastic. So listeners, if you want to check out Kat's work, go to Kathleen Collins is it .com?
.com.
.com, and you can check out some outtakes from her books. Great. So, Kat, that is about all the time we have for today. Do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Never give up. Dreams can come true. And this has definitely been the biggest dream of my life, is to be published. So if I could do it, anybody can, right?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you have a talent, obviously. And that is great. Those are great words to start the new year with too, right? Never give up.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Courage and confidence, the most important things you can have.
There you go. Go for the gusto. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kat. It has been a pleasure talking with you. And maybe I'll meet up with you at that great bookstore that we visited yesterday. That I hope you're able to check it out.
Definitely.
Yep.
One of these days.
Yep. And I'll just give a shout out to Midtown Scholar Bookstore in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Great place. If you're close by, listeners, check it out. So again, that's all the time we have for today. And I'm Anita Kelly. Thanks for joining Let's Talk About Books, baby. And thanks to Kathleen Collins for being on the show today. Until next time, may your journey be lighthearted, peace be plenty, and stay safe, folks.